2019. What a time to be alive. We had it all. Kanye was still a closet anti-Semite.
I'm not going to say what race, what people, doctor. It was a Jewish doctor.
We got the first picture of a black hole. The rainforest burned for months. Donald Trump was impeached.
You could say a hoax. The whole impeachment thing.
Picture of an egg became the most liked post on Instagram. Disney Plus is released. And let's not forget the rise of OK Boomer. This phrase had cast some kind of spell on the general public, causing the mainstream news outlets to cover the meme in typical cringe fashion.
Okay, Boomer. Okay, Boomer.
Okay, Boomer.
Okay, boomer.
The term OK Boomer originated from 4chan and Reddit in 2015, but took on a life of its own when it latched on to a gamer girl lip-sync TikTok video in November 2019. Back then, Ben Shapiro was owning SJWs and Karens were being exposed in YouTube compilations. People started blaming boomers for their problems, shunning them with new age humor.
I'd like to blow that whistle, sir. Damn.
Did you say to me?
What?
What did you say to me?
Not actual boomers by definition, but pretty much anyone over 30 began to be lumped into the boomer slur. Soon it became a term for anyone older than you who exhibited old person behavior. With the growing divide and tension between age groups, the rejection of our elders began. In the following year, we were online more than ever. With stay-at-home orders and the toll the pandemic took on our social lives, the internet was there to rub our feet and listen to us talk about our day. TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, Twitch, Pinterest, YouTube, iFunny, Reddit. Social media was a difficult world to navigate when you had to don your glasses just to take a call.
Yellow, hey, Bill.
The youthless population among us need a space of their own, a place to call home. Enter Facebook. If you're under 30, you probably think that Facebook is just for searching recipes in the status bar by mistake or commenting amen on obviously real pictures of military veterans who just want a comment for their birthday. Maybe you see it as a magical place where everyone can see how racist and strung out their old high school classmates are now. Younger people probably see Facebook today as a wasteland of barely online normies who can casually doom scroll for hours on end without having to surrender to the fact that they are online. Instead of committing and downloading the Reddit app, they use Facebook. These are people who can't admit that they deleted TikTok because they can't control their content preferences and the algorithm has curated a disgusting For You page of tits and actual brain rot.
Inside of Quandale Chungus aioli? The Aki way? What the sick?
Listen, I'm on Facebook too. I can't help it. It's impossible to ignore the popularity of Meta. Facebook, unfortunately, remains the most used social media platform worldwide. You may hate Facebook, but chances are you have an account. They call it the network effect. Think of it like a fax machine. On its own, it's almost completely useless, but the more people who have and use one, the more useful it is. Messaging, posting, photo albums, money transferring, networking, it's all there. All the bases are covered. It becomes almost necessary to have a Facebook. You potentially just miss out on so many things without Facebook. You can't get invites to events. You aren't part of the group chat your friends are in, so you don't get the inside jokes anymore. Facebook is everywhere, taking over like a virus, farming your data and selling to the highest bidder. Yet, the adult themes found most other places on the internet are frowned upon here. Facebook will put you in timeout for sharing a post that you found on Facebook. Whitewashing due to the widespread popularity likely to maintain advertiser approval for monetization. People sometimes lose job opportunities for something they posted years ago. Yet, there remains the trolls and the dark humor. There is one way to get around the bans, to hide your digital footprint, to eliminate the future possibility of being canceled. An alt account. According to Facebook quarterly report from 2020, 16% of all accounts on the platform were fake or duplicate accounts. In 2023, Zucky took down 691 million fake accounts. In a direct quote from their report, Meta considers these fake accounts to be those that are created with malicious intent or created to represent a business organization or non-human entity. So I've been paying attention to birds lately. Boomer behavior, I know. But birds are cool. You often don't realize how much you take for granted in the everyday things around you, right? Once you detach yourself from the mundane and open your eyes and zoom in and really pay attention, you recognize the beauty in the monotony. It's a humbling and unique experience to realize what you've been missing out on, to discover what's been there the whole time, to discover a passion that you didn't know was there. Birds are everywhere, and you don't realize how many there are, how many hundreds of different species are in your backyard, all with different shapes and colors and sizes and behaviors. It's pretty cool. It's a whole new world of information once you pay attention to it. Anyway, I was trying to learn how to identify birds, and it's kind of the hardest part of birding, if you ask me. Which, by the way, it's not called bird watching. To people who pay attention to birds, it's birding. I was recommended by the birders that I saw on YouTube videos or articles that I read to join local Facebook groups so that I could learn how to identify birds that were local to me. Because birds are different in different areas of the country. And you don't want to waste your time learning birds that you're maybe not ever going to see in your lifetime. So anyway, I joined this local group from my city, and turns out they were right. It totally helped to learn how to identify birds that were here, especially ones that migrate through like once a year. You don't want to miss your like annual chance to add them to your life list. By the way, there's a thing called a life list, and it's like a Pokemon-esque list of birds that you've identified in your life, and they're all recorded. And then you've got a field guide, which acts as like a Pokedex, and you got to catch them all. You got to get as many birds in your life list as you can. I've been at this for months, and I've only got like under 100 identified birds in my life list. That's not a lot. These local Facebook groups can expose you to a subset of birds that are local to you, and it works. Anyway, I started to notice that there was a large number of obviously older people. Watching birds is not really so much of a young person activity. So there was a lot of older people in these groups that don't really possess the same online etiquette that you or I do, or maybe don't know how to conduct themselves so well in like a comment section. Older people who lacked the self-awareness online that most other people would, or most younger people would, I should say. Laughed it off, thought it was funny. I didn't think anything more of it until I was recommended a group where we pretend to be boomer birders. My interest peaked. By joining the local birding group, I had inadvertently opened myself up to a world of online satire, roleplay, comedic geniusness. I joined the new group out of pure, fiery, comedic curiosity. What I saw was confusing at first. I didn't really understand what was going on for the first few minutes that I was scrolling through the group, but I saw an OOC post, which I'll explain later, and I started to understand what was going on. This was the hilarious Holy Grail. This was the satire promised land. These were my people, my humor, my friends. I found a community with inside jokes in their own language and brand of humor. You ever been to Hooper's Corner? I have. It's not a real ontological place, but it's more of a state of mind. The birds that you see in Hooper's Corner, you wouldn't believe it until you saw it. So a little info on what Hooper's Corner actually means. Hooper's Corner is a state of mind where all birds, real and imaginary, can be observed, and where normal birding behavior becomes completely fluid. Sometimes stories about Hooper's Corner are based on real posts in groups like What's This Bird, state birding groups, or anywhere the essence of boomer birding may be present. I live in Hooper's Corner on a cul-de-sac. Or Chad Hooper himself even commented on the definition of Hooper's Corner. I'm not going to read all that to you, but basically he says the same thing. If you're interested in the definitive history of Hooper's Corner, I guess you can pause to read. There was the real boomer incident of May 2024, where a real-life boomer had stumbled their way into our community and began commenting on bird ID request posts in earnest, arguing with some members. Pause to read these if you're interested in the interaction, but Some people were kind and, helped them out. Some people refused to break character. The real-life boomer proceeded to interact after it was made clear to them that the group was satire and we were all playing roles. They eventually went on with their life, forever confused and perplexed by the situation. I loved this group because it was an inside joke. Every member of the group had been in their own local boomer Facebook groups, right? And had experienced this behavior in other people and then brought it back to the group. Now, there's specific rules in the group. You can't screenshot posts from other groups. You can't, drop names. We're not here to vilify people, but that's kind of what makes it so funny. It's all original content, and it's people who've picked up this behavior elsewhere and brought it back to play satire in the group. Now, if I'm trying to use an analytical eye, I'd say that these satire birding groups sort of act as a form of cultural commentary, a cross-section sample of how young people feel. By exaggerating the behaviors associated with older generations, members somewhat inadvertently critique and reflect on generational divides. This imitating form of humor allows for a playful exploration of how different age groups engage with technology, social norms, and hobbies like birding. I don't feel like this hurts anyone. We may be mocking older people, but the majority of members are genuinely interested in birds and just happen to have a sense of humor that enjoys imitation. Case in point, when the real boomer entered the group, he was politely shuffled out and apologized to. The exaggerated focus on bird identification, the obsession with rare sightings, the jargon-heavy discussion serve as both an affectionate nod and a gentle jabbing at the birding community to which we all actually belong. This playful mockery provides a way to appreciate the depth of the birding culture while also poking fun at its quirks and traditions. Soon there were other recommendations for groups pouring into my feed. The floodgates had been opened. Every day a new roleplay group was being recommended. Without warning, my life was swallowed whole by the millions of people online who had nothing better to do than pretend to be an old person.
Hog crankers against grass clippings, threatening horses V2, rare cat horses, badass skeleton memes for true horses, big horse energy, how to layer down horse, crank that hog brother, rare Debras, bad to the bone truckers who give no dams or shits, rare horses.
But I want to talk about one that I found most interesting, threatening horses.
Lost my job at the special factory. Slipped on some clippings today. Had to lay her down. There ain't nothing left to do but to crank my hog.
Okay, if you're not following along, let me explain. We're talking about a group of people on Facebook who get together and pretend to be Trump-loving, conservative, liberal-hating, motorcycle-riding boomer men. You know the type, right? The grandpa who hates the LGBT community and makes posts about how they used to drink water from a hose and only give trophies to winners. Now, there's some rules to the roleplay. OOC means out of character, and you have to use that before making a post with small letters or saying anything generally out of your boomer Haas character role. But pretty much the group doesn't allow OOC posts like other roleplay groups usually do. You're only allowed to speak in all caps, otherwise you're whispering and you need to speak up. Your girlfriend or wife must be Barb or Deb. Everyone who isn't a part of the group or that you disagree with is a liberal. Oh yeah, and you have to make a ton of grammatical errors that makes the experience more immersive. Threatening Hosses has 110,000 members as of July 2024, and 2 Chevy pickups as moderator and admin. These guys are seemingly inactive on the group, but more on that later. Started in December of 2021 by Jace Foster, originally under the name Hosses with Threatening Auras, then changed to Threatening Hosses in 2022. It's almost like a dumpster fire behind the Facebook official site, and it's full of adult content on a site that doesn't really allow adult content. 750 posts a day of Hoss content. This shit is unhinged as far as Facebook goes. At first, I thought that's all it was, just funny people indulging in some fun at others' expense, a run-of-the-mill meme group that had happened to have a specific niche theme. I didn't put any thought into who was making these posts, the ones poking fun at people. You know, one of the staples of this group is to make fun of old men who comment on young girls' pictures and say wildly inappropriate things. Then these members would post their picture and call them a hoss. These are real people, so I don't think I should show them. The point is, they're quite the opposite of a group where we pretend to be boomer birders in more ways than one. This group doxes, pokes fun at, posts screenshots, and pretty much everything that would get you kicked out of the boomer birder group. These guys are assholes. As I saw the group grow into the massive size that it is today, the more I saw an uptick in wildly offensive comments and memes. Not the old screenshot type I mentioned, but something altogether different and more nefarious. Anti-left-wing political rhetoric, an insane amount of racism. Anti-gay and anti-trans posts. Flagrantly anti-Semitic posts and memes. Straight up pornographic images. Literal people dying, and other things I actually can't say out loud. What the fuck is going on in threatening hosses? Now, I checked. Back in 2022 and 23, and even early 24, these posts were like normal hoss posting content. Sometime between February and July of 2024, the tone shifted from light satirical roleplay comedy to like a hateful echo chamber of actual assholes and degenerates who air out real shitty opinions and just use big letters to hide behind. I checked into the moderator, Richard Foster. It seems like his real Facebook account. After checking his likes and follows and comment post history, nothing strange or extreme there. He just seems like a normal guy. The admin, Joyce Foster, doesn't have any publicly available info, all private. And he hasn't posted in the group in almost a year. I sent a message to Richard, but got no answer. I wonder how he feels about the change in rhetoric in the group. Does he share these views? Did he ever intend it to be this way? What's his relationship to Joyce Foster, the creator? Is he just as surprised to see the shift in tone as I am? He posted himself no racism like a year ago. Is Richard even moderating the page at all? I'm curious to see what exactly changed in the group. Why did it seem to shift so suddenly to such an extreme level? Was there a sudden surge in group numbers that allowed for fake accounts? I don't know, I can't see that data because I'm not an admin. I wanted so badly to blame this on like fake accounts, alts, or some kind of government psyop like the Reddit incident. Highly recommend Flesh Simulator's video on this.
Most Reddit-addicted city with over 100,000 visitors. Eglin Air Force Base. How many people are there at Eglin? 2,448, so what kind of stuff goes on at Eglin? 688th Cyberspace Wing, the 690th Cyberspace Operations Group, and the 692nd Cyberspace Operations Squadron.
But I couldn't find any evidence of this. The fact is, I just don't have the means to investigate at that level. I tried the Wayback Machine to see group member numbers. Maybe I could draw a correlation from member count to the shift in tone. No such luck. I couldn't use a scraper to pull post and member data because it's a private group. Hold on. What's this?
This is my last post. Yes, I'm completely serious. You see, I'm not who you think I am, not at all. Currently, I'm a writer for the Washington Post, living in a small studio apartment, always looking for the next big story, barely scraping by sometimes. I was asked several months ago by my editor to do a piece on the so-called threatening hosses community on Facebook that seems to be becoming more and more popular by the day. Initially, I was intrigued. The humor is bizarre yet interesting, nonsensical yet genius. I spent several months interacting with people I had never met before in my life, learning the culture, what was cool, what wasn't. Eventually, I began to make my own posts, testing the waters now and then, and eventually, my own posts started getting noticed. Maybe for a minute or two, I understood why you all do this, but that didn't last long. And with time, I began to notice how stale the content truly was, how the same memes could be spammed over and over again and still get massive amounts of attention. And I also began to notice something else. The viciousness with which you attack each other, the semi-constant bullying and harassment. Each day it made me even more sickened than before, to the point where you people made me start questioning everything about reality and what I knew about it. I couldn't eat, I couldn't sleep, I was drinking 2 bottles of whiskey every night. But finally my mission is complete. Tomorrow we'll be publishing a comprehensive guide on this group, potentially exposing some of your members' most well-kept secrets. I'm deactivating this count at midnight, but before I do, I just want to let you all know you make me sick.
This guy could help, I bet. I'm gonna reach out to him and see if I get an answer. Probably nothing. But I'll send a message anyway to see if he has anything to share. Oh. Well, that's the end of that. Listen, I fucked up. I blew my cover, but I'm new to this. Yeah, Maybe I sounded like a little bit of a cop, but I don't have the journalistic skills, I guess, that I should because I haven't done this before. Whatever. Lesson learned. I unknowingly took the bait of old copy pasta. Roast me in the comments. I thought maybe I could draw someone out also by posting the same copy pasta. No luck. Just another couple hundred comments calling me a sissy liberal. Also, I started a chain reaction of this copy post trend by accident. So the point is, they're not imitating boomers anymore. They're just straight up adopting the behavior and distorting it into something that it was never intended to be. They ruined everything. So there I was, knee-deep in digital grime, looking for the rotten core of this online cesspool. Thought I could sniff out a trail, maybe fake accounts, maybe a deliberate smear job to CIA or Russian troll farms. But the truth? It might be uglier than I wanted to admit. Real people, real opinions. No puppet master pulling the strings. Just a bunch of ordinary folks with a mean streak, hiding behind their keyboards. What's worse, grand conspiracy or the fact that these people are just us? Just normal people, unleashing their darkest without a second thought. It was a harsh wake-up call, the kind that makes you wonder if the real world isn't just as twisted as any conspiracy theory. Was this just a reflection of something rotten in the human condition? Or was I missing something deeper, something more insidious? I needed to know, but the answers were murkier than the shadows in a back alley dive. The more I dug, the more I realized I was staring into the abyss. And the abyss stared right back. So what? Maybe I was hoping for a shadowy figure behind it all, but it seemed like these people were acting on their own. Just everyday people like you or I. The question slowly morphed from who or how, and it became why. Why do people revel in this kind of ugliness? Was it just a sign of the times or something more? People find any unmoderated corner of the internet and turn it into another dumpster fire. As I pieced it together, I saw that the realization has been staring me in the face now for weeks of sleepless nights. Sometimes the real mystery isn't in the facts, but in the motives. And those are the hardest to decipher. I know poking fun at older generations can be hurtful, but I understand that the world will soon leave me behind as well. Time takes its course. It's the natural order of things. You see, the future's coming for me as well. My children will mock my old person vernacular and behavior. It happens to everyone. And for the younger people watching, this will happen to you too. The pervasive rot of existence catches us all. I'll leave you with Jason Pargin's words on this. I know that watching the old world die can feel like a tragedy. I know that the sound of the new world being born can seem to your ears like a tune sung by a madman. But you cannot stop what's coming. There is only one way to survive. You must learn to dance to the madman's tune. Otherwise, you are consigning yourself to be buried with the old world. Listen, if you made it this far in the video, you're the real MVP. Thanks for watching. Let me know what you thought about it.